NFL roster cutdown day is set for Tuesday, August 26th. And let me tell you, this is going to be a huge day for the Miami Dolphins. Right now, we have a 90-man roster full of talented players, but only 53 spots are available when the dust settles. That means some really tough decisions are coming for Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. And honestly, that's a good problem to have, because it shows how deep this team has become. But before we dive into the most heated roster battles, let me just say this. Before listening to the latest news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you never miss a Dolphins update. We're going to keep you ahead of every breaking news story all season long. Now, let's move on to the new news. When you look at the Dolphins roster, two positions stand out as the most competitive: wide receiver and edge rusher. These spots are absolutely stacked, and predicting who makes the final 53-man roster is nearly impossible right now. Let's start with wide receiver, because honestly, this is the most brutal battle on the entire team. I feel bad for whoever doesn't make the cut because every single guy in this room has talent. We're talking about a position group that currently has 11 receivers after cutting Tarek Black earlier this week. Here's what we know for sure. There are 4 absolute roster locks: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, rookie standout Malik Washington, and free agent addition Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Those 4 guys are not going anywhere. That leaves 5 players fighting for what I believe will be 2 remaining spots. The names on the bubble? Dwayne Eskridge, Taj Washington, Theo Weiss Jr., Eric Ezukanma, and Andrew Armstrong. Miami typically keeps 5 receivers, but I can't see them going with less than 6 this year given the depth and versatility we're seeing in camp. Now here's where things get interesting. Don't be shocked if the Dolphins make a move. With so much depth, Miami could trade one of these receivers, maybe someone like Taj Washington or Theo Weiss Jr., to pick up a late-round draft pick, or even address another position of need like cornerback. That's the kind of flexibility this front office loves. Bottom line, the wide receiver room is loaded, and this final preseason game is going to be massive for these bubble guys. One big play could literally make or break their future in Miami. Why would Miami even consider a trade at wide receiver? Simple. If you know you're going to cut a talented player, why not get something in return? Whether that's a cornerback for depth or a future draft pick, it just makes sense. These receivers have impressed enough that other teams will definitely take notice, and some franchises might prefer to trade for one rather than risk losing out during the waiver process on August 26th. So, yes, there's a real chance the Dolphins could make a move here. And honestly, it's a smart strategy. This roster is stacked at wide receiver, and moving one could strengthen the team elsewhere without losing a valuable asset for nothing. Now, let's dig deeper into this wide receiver battle because this is where things really heat up. Earlier, I mentioned 4 absolute locks: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. After that, I originally had 5 players on the bubble. But I've got to say, after watching more tape, Dwayne Eskridge is creeping closer to lock status. If he keeps making plays, that could leave just 1 spot open for the remaining 4 guys. And that's where the real fight begins. Theo Weiss Jr. versus Taj Washington. In my opinion, this is the head-to-head battle that could decide the final spot on Miami's 53-man roster. Let's break them down. Taj Washington. Explosive, shifty, and dangerous in space. At 5'10", 174 pounds, he's the perfect fit for gadget plays, jet sweeps, and special teams. He brings that quick twitch athleticism Miami loves in a spread system. Theo Weiss Jr., a completely different type of receiver. Standing at 6'2", 210 pounds, he's a big-bodied possession target who can win contested catches and provide a physical presence over the middle. He's the guy you look to on third downs when you need a tough grab to move the chains. 2 very different styles, both valuable in their own way. So, which one does Miami choose? Do they go with the speed and versatility of Washington or the size and strength of Weeze? That final preseason game could be the deciding factor. One big play, just one, might be the difference between making the team or getting shipped out. This is what makes cutdown day so intense. It's not just about talent. It's about fit, role, and who can make the biggest impact when it matters most. Now, here's where things get really interesting. These two receivers bring completely different skill sets, and that could slightly favor Theo Wease Jr. Why? Because Miami already has plenty of smaller, speedy wideouts like Tariq Hill, Jalen Waddle, and even Dwayne Eskridge. Adding another smaller receiver like Taj Washington might seem redundant, while Theo's size and physicality offer something unique in this room. But it's not just about body type. It's about production, and the preseason has given us plenty to analyze. Let's break it down. Week 1 versus Chicago. Taj Washington stole the show. He hauled in 3 catches on 4 targets for 53 yards, highlighted by an incredible corner route from Zach Wilson under pressure. That play showed off Taj's route running and separation ability. Meanwhile, Theo struggled in that game. To be fair, a lot of that was on poor quarterback play. Quinn Ewers missed Theo on a simple 8-yard out route that should have been an easy completion. Week 2 versus Detroit. This one was all Theo Wease Jr. He exploded with 6 catches on 9 targets for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. Both scores came from Ewers, and their chemistry was on full display. Taj, on the other hand, had a quieter game. Only 25 snaps compared to Theo's 31 and limited production. But Taj was playing with the second unit, while Theo saw most of his action with the third team. So what does that tell us? Theo dominated when given opportunities. But was it because he has great chemistry with Quinn Ewers? Or because he's just that good? That's the big question the coaching staff has to answer. On the flip side, Taj has shown consistency across the board, performing well with multiple quarterbacks, including Tua Tagovailoa during practices. And let's not forget one underrated factor: run blocking. In Mike McDaniel's offense, receivers have to block, often. It's non-negotiable. Both Taj and Theo have been asked to do it, and honestly, neither has separated themselves in this area. That makes the decision even harder. At this point, I don't envy the Dolphins front office. Do you go with Theo's size and recent breakout performance, or Taj's speed, versatility, and proven chemistry with the starters? This final preseason game could be the ultimate deciding factor, because one big play might make all the difference. Here's another wrinkle that makes this decision nearly impossible: run blocking grades. In Mike McDaniel's system, blocking matters a lot. So, does one player stand out there? Honestly, no. Through 2 preseason games, Taj Washington has graded out at 58.7, while Theo Wease Jr. is right behind at 56.6. That's basically a dead tie, which means Miami isn't going to use blocking as the deciding factor. And this is where roster construction comes into play. Could the Dolphins keep 7 wide receivers? Technically, yes, it's been done before. But with the needs at cornerback, safety, and edge rusher, it just doesn't feel realistic. That means one of these 2 players is going to be the odd man out. And here's the scary part: whichever one Miami cuts, they're gone. Another team will claim them immediately. They've both been that impressive throughout camp and preseason. This is why a trade feels like the most logical outcome. You can't stash them on the practice squad. You can't keep both. So why not get something in return? Even a late-round draft pick or depth at a position of need would be better than losing a talented player for nothing. So, the question remains: who wins the last wide receiver spot? Does Miami stick with Taj Washington's speed and proven chemistry with starters, or go with Theo Wease Jr.'s size and red zone ability? The final preseason game could determine everything. One big play, one huge moment, and someone's career changes overnight. Now, speaking of roster battles, the next position group that's just as fascinating, maybe even more so, is edge rusher. Miami has elite starters at the top, but depth is where the drama begins. Let's break down that battle next, because there are some surprising names in the mix, and a big question about who can step up behind the stars. Now let's shift from the wide receiver drama to the edge rusher battle, which is just as intense, maybe even more so. This position group is stacked at the top, but the fight for the final spots is going to be brutal. The situation got even more complicated when Miami made a major move earlier this week, signing Matthew Judon to a deal worth up to $6 million for this season. That's a big-time addition. Judon isn't just a name. He's a four-time Pro Bowler and one of the most productive pass rushers in the league. You don't sign someone like that unless you plan on him being a key part of your defense. So, let's talk roster locks. There are now 4 players who are 100% safe. Bradley Chubb, the leader of this unit when healthy. Chop Robinson, the rookie first-rounder who's been flashing his elite speed and bend. Jalen Phillips, a core piece who, when healthy, is a nightmare for opposing tackles. Matthew Judon, the new addition who brings veteran leadership and proven production. Those 4 are set in stone. But after that, things get messy. Miami typically keeps 5 or 6 edge players, which means there's room for maybe 1 or 2 more spots. And here are the names fighting for their NFL lives. Grayson Murphy, Mohamed Kamara, Quinton Bell, Derek McClendon, Cameron Good. This is where it gets tough because these guys have all shown flashes. Murphy has been relentless off the edge and might be the most polished of the bunch. Kamara? Pure explosion and speed. He's the type of developmental player you hate to risk losing. Quinton Bell brings special teams value, and we know that matters for bottom of the roster guys. McClendon and Good? Both have versatility, which is huge in Vic Fangio's system. So how does Miami decide? Here's the challenge. You can't just keep stacking one position because you've got needs elsewhere. Cornerback depth, safety help, offensive line insurance. Keeping 7 wide receivers isn't realistic, and neither is stashing 5 backup edge rushers. That means some really good players are about to hit the waiver wire. Bottom line, if you love competition, this final preseason game is must-watch. Someone from this group is going to make a statement, and someone's going to be playing for another team by next week. Last year, Miami kept 5 edge rushers. The year before, only 4. So, there's no clear historical pattern to lean on. But here's what I do know. This year's decision is even harder because of the added roster pressure at offensive line, interior defensive line, and cornerback. That makes me believe the Dolphins will likely stick with 5 edge players, which means those 5 names we talked about earlier are battling for just one final spot. Who gets it? Let's break it down. Quinton Bell brings special teams value. Mohamed Kamara offers raw athleticism and upside. Derek McClendon and Cameron Good both provide versatility. But the guy who keeps flashing, over and over again, is Grayson Murphy. This second-year UDFA out of UCLA has been relentless. In fact, when you look at the numbers, he's in the top 10 among all edge rushers in the preseason. And that's out of 71 players who've logged at least 30 snaps. That's impressive. His ability to generate pressure, combined with his consistent motor, makes him stand out as the most game-ready option of the bunch. So, if I'm making the call today, I'm giving that last spot to Grayson Murphy. But let's be real, this isn't over yet. That final preseason game could flip everything upside down. 1 sack, 1 big play on special teams, and someone else could steal the job. That's the drama of roster cutdown day. And remember, when Tuesday hits and the cuts start rolling in, it's not just about who makes the 53. There will be trades, waiver claims, and surprise moves that no one sees coming. So buckle up, Dolphins fans. The next few days are going to be wild. Here's the thing. Grayson Murphy hasn't just been good. He's been dominant. Let's look at the numbers. 4th in pass rush grade, 3rd in total pressures, 3rd in sacks, 4th in pass rush win rate, second in QB hits. That's not just solid. That's elite production for a player fighting for a roster spot. And yes, Murphy has played a ton of snaps, probably more than anyone else in Miami's edge group. But what stands out is how much he's done with those opportunities. The more chances he gets, the more he produces. Now, Derek McClendon has also been heavily involved and has played fine, solid, reliable, but not on Murphy's level. And that's why, honestly, I'm struggling to see a scenario where Murphy doesn't make the 53-man roster. His performance has earned it, plain and simple. So how do I think this shakes out? Here's my edge bubble power ranking. 1. Grayson Murphy, he's on the 53. I don't see Miami risking him on waivers. 2. Quinton Bell on the bubble. If Miami keeps 6 edge players, he's the next man in. His special teams value is a huge plus. 3. Mohamed Kamara, flashy athleticism, but needs polish. I think Miami tries to stash him on the practice squad. 4. Derek McClendon, another P squad candidate. Solid but hasn't separated himself. 5. Cameron Good, unfortunately. I think he's the odd man out entirely. Likely cut with no practice squad spot. Could Miami keep 6 edges? Maybe. But remember, that's why they signed Matthew Judon. They want rotation and depth, but they also have to balance roster needs at other positions. The truth is, this final week is massive. Joint practice Thursday. Final preseason game Saturday. Cutdown day Tuesday, August 26th. Careers will change in the next few days. Murphy looks like he's locked in, but in the NFL, nothing is guaranteed until it's official. One thing's for sure, Miami's edge room looks scary good heading into the season. If this depth holds up, the Dolphins' pass rush could be one of the most dangerous in the league.